everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. Hey, so in today's video we're going to be covering the case on this woman who literally put out a hit on her 16-year-old daughter. I mean, what could your child have possibly done for you to hire a hitman to kill your daughter? I mean, Lord have mercy. But if you want to know more about the story and what exactly happened, then keep on watching. So Latania Janelle Carwell was born on April 17, 2001 to her mother, Tanya Tripp. And I assumed that she named her after herself, Tanya and Latania. It makes sense. There isn't much about Latania's biological father online, but she did have a stepfather, and his name was Leon Tripp. So Latania often go by her middle name Janelle, so we're just gonna call her Janelle for the sake of this video because her mom name is Tanya, so saying Latania and Tanya is gonna get a bit confusing, so we're just gonna go by Janelle. So Janelle was an honor student at the T.W. Joseph Comprehensive High School. People who knew her said she was very loving, extremely intelligent, and super smart. Like, everyone in her neighborhood known her for being very, very smart. She also had hopes of becoming a doctor, and people do not doubt that had things turned out another way, she definitely would have achieved those goals because she won a lot of awards while she was in school because she was just like a very smart kid. Janelle lived in Richmond County in Augusta, Georgia with her sister, her mother, and her stepfather. And on April 17th, 2017 was actually Janelle's 16th birthday. That was also a Sunday, so that was also Easter Sunday as well. So Janelle's parents, they decided that they were gonna, do a whole celebration for her birthday, but they're just gonna combine Easter Sunday and her birthday together and gather all the family and throw like a huge cookout because people take Easter Sunday very seriously. So that's exactly what they did, and they threw like a huge celebration for her. All of her friends came, her family came, and people from the community, which went really well. And Latania had the time of her life. She really enjoyed her 16th birthday. So that night, Janelle's mom, Tanya, she decided to go to bed early that night because she was very, very tired. So around 12 a.m., Leon actually woke up Tanya to let Tanya know that he wanted to borrow her cell phone. So she was like, why do you want to use my cell phone? And then he told her that he had a friend that was at the party. Leon told Tanya that the friend's car unfortunately went out on him and he would need a ride home. So Tanya was like, okay, of course you can use my phone. So he wanted to use Tanya's phone to pull up the GPS because his friend lives in South Carolina, in Clarksville, South Carolina. I'm not sure if Leon didn't have a phone, but why would he need Tanya's phone? But whatever. There's just a lot about this case that don't even make sense. So many questions that are unanswered. So Tanya gave Leon her phone, and then Leon told Tanya that he was gonna go drop his friend off, and he also told Tanya that he wanted Janelle to go with him because he didn't know how to use the navigation. So he wanted Janelle to help him navigate from Augusta, Georgia to Clarksville, South Carolina. I'm not sure why he would know how to use a GPS. We're in 2020. It's not like this man is a senior citizen. He's definitely in his prime, but that's besides the point. So anyways, they both left. This was around 12:30. They both left with this friend to go drop the friend off. However, Tanya noticed that as the night went on, it was getting super, super late, and she didn't hear from them. She didn't hear from Janelle. She didn't hear from Leon. So she was like a little bit concerned, but she was like, okay, well, let's just wait a little bit. So she did try calling them, although I was a little bit concerned because I'm like, I'm not sure how Tanya was expecting to hear from them when they took her phone, but yeah, that's besides the point. But Tanya hadn't heard from them, so she waited until a few hours. Mind you, at this point it must have been like around 4 a.m. and she still hadn't heard from them. So she tried calling them, and when she tried calling them, their phone actually went to voicemail. And this is when she got really, really concerned because both of their phones would have never just be dead or be turned off and just go into voicemail like that just wouldn't have happened, and they wouldn't have waited that long to get back in touch with her. So the next morning, she woke up and she noticed that they weren't home. So obviously she's in a huge panic. So she went ahead and she called police and she reported both Janelle and Leon missing. So the police, they came, they started searching. They had a team on the ground, they had a team in the air, they had the cadaver dogs. So everyone from the community that could help at the time, they actually volunteered, formed search parties, because everybody just wanted to find them, especially Janelle. They handed out flyers, and there was a pastor, a local pastor that had a radio show, and he went on air to, you know, spread the news and try to see if he can reach a wider audience. That way everyone can have the information so they can be on the lookout for Leon and Janelle. So Janelle's mom, Tanya, she went on Facebook, and she used Facebook as a way to get the information out there. So she went on Facebook Live, and also she kind of built a community on Facebook, and she kind of found comfort into, you know, talking to the people sympathizing with her. So she went on Facebook a lot. And people also felt really bad for her because ever since Janelle was a baby, this was like the first time Tanya had gone, I would say, a whole day without being with her. So it was really, really hard, because not only is she searching for her daughter, she's also searching for her husband as well. Like, it's crazy. And what was even worse is that Tanya was also battling lung cancer and brain cancer as well. So she was actually really sick. And on top of that, have to be searching for her husband and her kids. So it was really, really hard for her. And people on Facebook, they came together, they tried to raise money to offer up a reward for whomever would have any information to be able to find Janelle and Leon. A few weeks had gone by, and the police, they didn't get any closer to figuring out what could have possibly happened. And now people in the community, they actually started becoming more concerned, because they're like, okay, what the hell is happening? Is there a predator around? Should we be concerned? Because now everybody's scared. They don't want to leave their house. They're like, you know, like, what the hell is happening out there? Like, they just don't feel safe in the community. And things actually took a turn for the worse. So by the end of April, cops actually discovered Leon's pickup truck. So his white pickup truck that they left in that night, he actually discovered the pickup truck only about a mile from where they live. So at this point, they're extremely confused, because they don't know what happened. Mind you, they had left to go to Clarksville, South Carolina. So did they come back? Why would the truck be only a mile away? Like, they were so confused. They took the vehicle in to swipe for any DNA, for any evidence or anything that they could have found. But when they did that, they didn't really necessarily find anything significant that could have given them any more information about what could have possibly happened. At this point, the cops decided that they're gonna check cell phone records. So they went ahead and they checked the cell phone record for both Leon and Janelle, and come to find out, they actually didn't see any evidence or pick up any signal that they've ever been anywhere close to Clarksville, South Carolina. So that was a little weird. And then they decided to check Janelle's social media, because she's a popular teenager. She's always posted on social media. So when they went ahead to check her social media, they actually noticed that her social media accounts were deactivated, which was extremely alarming, because she was a popular kid. She used social media a lot. So, you know, a kid is not just going to go ahead and deactivate their social media out of the blue without a solid reason. And her mom didn't have any idea of why she would have deactivated her social media. So at this point, a charity called Bring Our Missing Home, they decided that they wanted to get involved in this case, because this is what they do. They help find missing people. They use whatever resources they can offer to the family to help to bring the family member or a loved one home. But they wanted to get involved in this case specifically because they noticed that out of all the information that has been spreading, out of all the coverage, the media coverage that Janelle's case has been getting, apparently Janelle's case had a lot of media coverage. I'm not sure how. I never heard of it when it was happening, but apparently it did. And also they handed out millions of flyers. So the organization found it a little bit weird that the police have not received a tip with not even one sighting of Janelle. Like, they felt like it was a little bit strange. However, shortly after this, coincidentally, they actually received a tip of a sighting, but not exactly what they were expecting. The sighting that they received was a sighting of Leon in Atlanta. Now, the problem is Leon was by himself. He was not with Janelle. So everybody is wondering, okay, so where is Janelle? And they received a few sightings. So he was just out and about in Atlanta. Like he wasn't even hiding or anything. So they felt like there was like a little bit strange. So they decided to look into Leon's background a little bit. So when things like this happen, I don't even know why they take so long to look into the whole thing. Like it's like they're going step by step. Like why don't you just look into everything at once? But anyway, so they looked into Leon's background. So as it turned out, Leon actually had a very wild criminal history. So he had several assault charges, several cruelty to children charges, and at one point he was actually arrested for aggravated assault. And I mean, that is who you decide to bring around your kid, but I digress. Just a little backstory about Tanya and Leon and how they met. So Tanya and Leon, they actually knew each other ever since she was in high school. They were both in high school together and they kind of kept in contact throughout the years. And then Leon had gotten arrested and Tanya was really there for Leon when he was arrested. They talked every single day, sent letters to each other, and eventually they got a little bit closer, more than just friends. And then they, you know, started dating while he was in prison, and then she actually married him while he was in prison. So in 2015, when he was released from prison, she moved him into her home with her and her 2 daughters. So after police found out all of this information, it just was not looking good for neither of them actually. And the public, they just started side-eyeing Tanya a little bit. And this is when the founder of the charity that I spoke about earlier, Bring Our Missing Home, she actually started noticing some red flags. She was already noticing the red flags, but at this point, the red flags are there, like in her face. Like she could not even ignore them anymore at this point. And there was just so much that was not adding up with Tanya's story. So one time, Tanya actually did an interview where they asked her a question about, is it possible that Leon could have possibly abducted Janelle? Because I mean, you see what his criminal record looked like. So she literally said, she was like, why would he have all this prettiness and run away with my daughter? I mean, your daughter is missing and your husband is missing and you're worrying about your prettiness. And there was also another interview where they said, could it be possible that both Janelle and Leon ran away together? There was just, you know, weighing out all the options to see what could have possibly happened. And she was like, no, I'm the wife. I'm the one that's the wife and that's our daughter. And just by her, you know, tone, people started noticing a little bit of jealousy basically towards Janelle. They just felt like Tanya was jealous of her own daughter based on what they were hearing. And this is actually a real thing, believe it or not. This is a real thing. There's a lot of parents out there that are actually jealous of their kids, specifically moms that are jealous of their daughter. So now back in Atlanta, police was finally able to track Leon down. So they actually received a tip that Leon was at a U-Haul depot. So I'm guessing somebody from the U-Haul depot saw him and they decided to call police. So police immediately flocked right away because they're like, we've been looking for you. So when they got there, they were very shocked because not only did they found Leon at this U-Haul depot, they actually found Tanya at the U-Haul depot as well. And they're so confused. They're like, what the hell is going on? Like, what are you doing here? And now Tanya, what Tanya tried to say was, Tanya said that she was getting evicted and she started moving out her and the girl's things to Atlanta, and you know, she rented the U-Haul truck to move her things to Atlanta. And then this is when she ran into Leon. He was on the side of the road, and obviously they was not buying that because you're telling me there's a whole nationwide hunt for this man. There's a bolo out for this man, and you just happen to be driving down a random street and see him walking on the street. Like, that was just way too coincidental for them. So they went ahead and they arrested both Leon and Tanya. So Tanya actually called her neighbor from jail, basically ranting to her neighbor, telling her neighbor how, you know, they arrested me, they got it wrong, and how police is looking into the wrong directions and they need to direct the energy into finding her daughter instead of looking at her. And this is when her neighbor just like really realized how much she's been lied to. And this is when everyone started to feel some sort of betrayal, because they were very upset. Like, people put a lot of energy into finding Janelle, because as I said, the whole community love her. So they waste their precious times. Precious times. Like, people are busy. They have jobs. They have things to do, but they decided to take time out of their day to search for her. And mind you, it's hot at this point. It was really, really hot. So some people were actually passing out in the 100-degree weather because they were searching for hours, got dehydrated, had to be taken to the hospital. And this whole time, her mom was hiding something from them. Her mom was acting like she didn't really know where she was. So the investigator decided to go back and listen to Tanya's 911 call that she made the night when they went missing. And this is when they realized that it was all a lie. Basically, they analyzed the call and they realized that it was just all a lie, and just so much that didn't make sense. Like, I'm not sure why it even took them this long to figure out that, you know, a lot didn't make sense. So they also found out that they didn't went to South Carolina that night. And the saddest part of it all is that Tanya has been on Facebook Live this whole time telling people that she have cancer. So obviously people are sympathizing with her a lot more because she's ill. But come to find out, Tanya did not even have cancer. Like, girl, like, who lies about something like that? Like, that just really shows you the type of person that she was. Like, why would you lie about something like that? So back down at the station, they were questioning Tanya, and Tanya basically stick with her same story about how she just ran into him. She didn't know what was going on. She just ran into him. She stuck to that story. And Leon actually just gave a completely different story that didn't even make sense. So Leon basically told authorities that him and Janelle had went to Atlanta because they were planning on moving to Atlanta. And then he gave Janelle money to go back to Augusta, to take the bus to go back to Augusta, and he hadn't seen her since. I'm not sure why he would have given her money to take the bus back. And also Leon did submit a statement that's saying that Janelle was no longer alive, but he did not give any more information. He didn't give any information of what happened. And Tanya, on the other hand, she didn't say a thing. She was like, this is my man and I'm gonna stick by him. She didn't say a thing. However, a year later, the following Easter, police actually released a statement saying that they received a call from someone who was about to rent a house, saying that they found remains in their garden. Which is crazy. I just don't even understand how that even makes sense. But anyway, so they found remains, and come to find out, the remains were the remains of Janelle Carwell. No one knows exactly what happened to her, but her mom, Tanya, was charged with second-degree murder, and her stepfather, Leon, actually received the death penalty. But we know how death penalties work. He'll probably be on death row for like the next 20-30 years. Like, who even knows? But what a monster. So no one even knows what the motives were for this, but police actually did release something saying that they actually got reports that Janelle's mom and her stepdad had been working with a fixer, so basically a hitman, to take her out from about a year prior. So they don't know if the hitman was the one who took her out or if, you know, Leon did something to her. Nobody knows exactly what happened. But why exactly would you want to kill your 16-year-old daughter? It's not like she was a badass kid that's stressing you out. Even then, still, you shouldn't want to kill your child, but nobody knows what exactly happened. So this is why they're like, it all boils down to jealousy. Maybe Tanya was getting a bit jealous of Janelle because now Janelle is turning into an adult. Well, I mean, she's 16, but you know, she's getting up there. Maybe she's coming into her shape and looking amazing. And maybe her mom is just jealous of her. And if you can look at her mom and her stepdad, you can tell that her mom was the type of person in high school where she was probably just surprised that she was getting the attention from this guy. Like, she couldn't even believe it. And as she got older, she still never got over that childhood crush. And this is why you were so willing to bring a freaking inmate into your home around your children that has been charged with cruelty to children. Like, why would you bring somebody like that into your home? And there was nothing that said it had to do with any life insurance policies or anything like that. But I'm still a little bit confused as to why Leon would partake in it if it was just jealousy on her mom end. Like, it's a big blur. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but nonetheless, it is freaking crazy. But that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.